the DDA to order at 8:11 on May 17th. Everyone is in attendance. Jeff Margolis is unable to join us today, and Mr. Weiss is running a little bit late. But we have a quorum, so we can begin. Do we have a budget? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
You do. I will motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Perfect. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Fabulous. We're going to do things a little bit out of order. We've done a lot of work on the budget. Kelly has answered the questions we've been asking, so I think we've got answers on all that. And perhaps the lovely Valerie would run through it for us.
So there's only I think one major change from what we looked at last month, and that was the adjustment to the millage. There was an error there which reduced that millage amount by $14,000. So Joan took that out of operating expenses in order to preserve facade grant funds so that we still have funds available this year to grant facade grants should those applications come in. I think that's a fair adjustment. I think we can make that happen. Otherwise, like we talked about last week, I think all the other buckets, if you will, are aligned with what we've done in the past, and we look in good shape if we want to approve
So
that.
this is very exciting because we can now approve our financials and know where we stand as far as money goes. Kelly, is there anything you'd like to add to us that?
I think you covered it all.
We certainly spent enough time trying to cover it all.
I'll just make one comment. Kelly Rao, Finance Director, I appreciate you, your patience and working with us last week before, and getting this all resolved. Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, so that I didn't actually say that in the meeting. The outstanding question that we had, Kelly confirmed it went into our fund balance. That's why we didn't see it come back, because it's just in the fund balance for the current year. So that was resolved.
Perfect. Well, we're very happy to be back on a firm financial footing. We're going to hold the director report until the director is here, but how about a city manager report? Sure. Mr. Riker's looking very fancy today.
Oh, we have a big event this evening, which is the investiture of Chief Select Kelly Baus. So that's at 6:30 this evening at Grace Apostolic Church, and you are all invited to attend. The reason I'm here, I'd like to turn it over to the chamber, if you would. Back in the fall, I had asked the chamber to champion a cause to bring maybe greater awareness or greater branding or just something positive to the city. So I actually met Fred Ganad at the Claws and Paws last year, and I learned that he was a public artist and does various public artworks, and worked in the movie industry. Very skilled, talented individual. I asked him to walk the city campus with me and just discuss some potential ideas. And between him, the chamber, and I also asked Chaplain Traxel to be a part of this objective, not elected and not appointed group of people that have a concern for every corner of Clawson. So with that being said, Char Larson would have been here today, but she is attending to an ailing family member out of state. And so with that, I'll turn it over to Shella Mitchell, who is the director of the chamber.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'd like to read the artist statement first. We are living in a world that has become...
Could you speak into the microphone so they'd be sure to catch it?
Sure.
Thank you.
We are living in a world that has become an unbearable struggle focused solely on the tragedy of conflict and disagreement. Society has reached an unnatural state where we can only see our differences. There is a constant reminder that our world is so vast and complex that it is, at times, a literal battle to maintain any sense of self or identity. We are forced to fight to maintain our voice, our beliefs, our cultures. We fight to show that we are still complete and valid. We fight to belong. This world has broken its soul into a myriad of individual shards, each groping the dark to find a place that can call their own. There was a time not long ago when we understood the unity was most valuable asset of humanity. However, our culture is not so far gone that we cannot be redeemed. We can still find that unity is the tiny recesses hidden in plain sight. We must learn that the path to seeking promise of hope is not to force the world to fit you, but to see how you fit the world. Deep within us, there is still light. We can find those gleaming gems of spirit in the people near us, in the house next door, in the shop around the corner, and in the little city with a big heart. The Clawson Chamber of Commerce is neither elected nor appointed. We represent every border of our city, building relationships between our community and our commerce. This idea is so exciting. We anticipate the positive magnitude that our collective ideas bring to all of Clawson, specifically to the downtown businesses. I want to introduce to you our local artists that will help us realize this vision. Fred Ganad.
Hello, let me introduce myself. My name is Fred Ganad, or Godofredo Catolico Ganad. Just to give you a little bit of background, I was a fine arts, I graduated from CCS in fine arts or figure sculpture, and I worked as a fabricator for an automotive model maker for many years. And then I went into the film industry, where I've worked for the past 15, I suppose, 20 years altogether with little projects here and there. All throughout that, I was still building and creating artwork professionally for artists, for actors and producers, and I've been designing ever since I graduated. For the past year, I left the film industry, and I've been working for a company where we build large-scale sculptures that get installed around the country. Currently, I'm designing a series of around 50 pieces that are going to be going around the country, and this is one of the pieces. This is, I'm hoping, to be one of the bigger pieces that we build. Let me pass out some. So what you have there is
Thank you. Thank you.
the proposal that I created. Is basically you start with my artist statement, and it gets into the introductions, and within there is a series of site proposals for the sculpture. When we talked, we discussed the motto of the city, the little city with a big heart. And what I've created was this design is going to be a 10-foot tall stainless steel sculpture that'll rotate on its base to manually. It rotates manually, so by hand you can position it and you can take photos in front of it. And the original intended position was going to be Site 1, if you look in the packet, is right on the corner of 14 and Main Street. I do, however, have several other locations that are a possibility. The material is going to be 16-gauge stainless steel reflective, but it can also be modified if needed if there's a reflective issue. And since it's a concave stainless, it won't focus a beam of light anywhere. What it will do is it'll diffuse light more than focus, but it will be a big shiny heart. And so if you look, that would be the scale of the sculpture altogether. I'm going to pass this around. This is a sample of the material.
What kind of maintenance does it require?
There is, since it's stainless, it's fairly minimal maintenance. There may be a polishing every once in a while just to get fingerprints and stuff off, but the material should last years and years.
I was just
without-
more curious about when the sticky fingers are on it, what they leave behind.
Yeah. It's also, since it's also stainless, paint doesn't adhere to it very easily. So if somebody decides to paint something on it, it can be polished away. The other maintenance that would end up happening is at the base, there's going to be just a little bit of a bearing plate that may on occasion need to be greased, but that won't be very often because it's going to be a bronze bearing plate that'll self-lubricate as it goes.
Pretty interesting. Man, this is fancy. I like this.
Thank you.
It's a lot to look at.
You'll notice in the back, I also have a little bit of, there are design specs. I will still probably end up having to engage with an actual engineer. I do some of my own engineering, but I would prefer to have signed drawings from an actual engineer who can vouch for my designs. Again, it is 10 feet tall, 6 feet deep by 12 feet wide, and they'll be sitting on a medallion, a concrete medallion with a sign in brass and stainless saying Clawson, the little city with a big heart.
Pretty interesting. And where does all the money come from for this?
That was under the Chamber of Commerce. They were going to fulfill that portion of the funding.
Anybody have any questions?
What about the maintenance then? This is going to need to be, kept clean and.
Yeah. In terms of the maintenance, like I said, it's fairly straightforward. I don't want to speak for any of the other. I will maintain the sculpture for the first couple years, but I will pass on the ability to maintain it to whichever department or whatever organization wants to continue on with that. The maintenance, I imagine that the Chamber of Commerce may be able to administer that with.
It looks like pretty much it just needs to be wiped off once in a while.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If there are if it gets struck by a car or something like that, I believe.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, that's all bets are off in that case. But it's, again, stainless. Stainless is extremely durable, especially at that thickness. It would take a real effort to actually damage it to the point where it needs some real
I was actually not worried about damage as much as just peanut butter and jelly hands and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. We've had some pieces that you can look at on the back page. The company that I work for has already built a few stainless pieces and have had them out in the wild. And there are a lot of stainless sculptures out there at the moment. There's one in Royal Oak by Marshall Frederick.
Frederick Marshall.
Frederick Marshall. That has a stainless piece at the base of it, and that has been there for as long as I remember, maybe at least 20, 30 years. And there has been no required maintenance on that other than maybe a regular polishing.
Cool.
So yeah, it won't corrode. It won't do any of the other things that regular steel will do.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I have.
Yes?
I think it looks amazing, and it seems like something that will bring people into our community. I could see, there are destination places people go for photos, and that seems like something people would come to take their photo with this ginormous heart, and the fact that it pivots, you could get a good angle, right? Because everyone's concerned with optics. And if people come to our community to look at this beautiful art piece, they're going to go to our restaurants, they're going to go to the little shops, and it's just going to be one more draw in for the outsiders, but also for those of us here who are trying to figure out what Clawson is all about. The idea that the city is a city with a big heart would be really great to have something like that out there to, to give us a brand, to include our brand. And
Yeah.
then opportunities for taking something like that and moving it out for branding, for further branding, maybe selling little things in some of our shops. It seems like there's a lot of marketing potential available with something like this.
Yeah, there's been a number of like sculptures installed into cities that have become complete icons for those cities. Say the Bean in Chicago, obviously the sculptures downtown Detroit that we have, also by Marshall Fredericks, the Spirit of Detroit. Something like this, I believe, would be an anchor point for the city. Right.
It's very
in
good
downtown, right in the downtown area.
You mentioned the Bean in Chicago. Do you know what material that's made out of?
That's also stainless.
Okay.
Also stainless. I believe that's the exact thickness that we use. That's obviously much larger. It's the size of this room, and that was.
They're a bigger town.
Yeah, they're much bigger down. But yeah, there are several installations by that same artists throughout the country as well of the same type of material.
Thank you so much.
I just had one quick thing. I mean, I love the interactive nature of it too,
Yes.
and I do think it's really sharp. I think my challenge would be on the sighting, is that like we'll have to get really, sort of granular in looking at what sighting makes sense.
Yeah.
Some of these corners are pretty tight, but we do have areas even within downtown that have like more setback and like green space around them, which maybe could be something interesting to look at.
Yeah.
Where you've got, I can envision children gathering around this sort of interactive movable piece, and maybe we don't want them like right on the curb in
Right.
downtown, but in some of those areas where we have a little bit more lawn, like that could be a natural gathering place, which we are missing in downtown. We don't have space for parks or parklets, but, and it's something that we've always been looking at, like how can we create something like that? And I don't know what the answer is. That would be
Right.
my challenge, is to kind of look at sighting through that lens.
Part of the way I designed this was also that it can be moved. The base itself, the concrete base, wouldn't be able to be moved, but the base that holds the sculpture up would be a rondelle of 12 J bolts that go straight into the ground. But if those are pulled out and moved, and the base itself is moved, it can be moved to any other position.
So it could adapt as
Adapt to
things
the
change.
to the position of the city, even if it needs to be set back in a couple more feet from the road at some point, or if some other space becomes available that seems to make more sense.
Sure.
The sculpture itself can be moved. The concrete medallion would have to be rebuilt, but the structure for holding up the sculpture itself is mobile.
Yeah, very exciting though. Thanks for presenting.
Yeah, it seems like it would be something very nice. Obviously, I'm partial to my own designs, but I feel very strongly about this piece.
The concrete medallion, how deep does that have to be?
The original notion was to build a pylon that was 42 inches deep to go below the frost line to set the mount on. But if it's just a concrete medallion, that could be somewhere between 8 and 12 inches deep, and stamped concrete or concrete or just troweled concrete to be made into a circle.
Okay.
And we do have a company that we use specifically for our concrete pours that we've only to create that.
Cool.
Did you come to us this meeting because we finally know how much money we have?
No, I don't know how much money anybody has, including myself.
Thank you so much. I think it's a really interesting project, and the DDA is very interested in pursuing it.
Thank you for hearing me.
Now let's talk about money.
He's like,
I just
nope.
wanted to add real fast, if I could. I'm David Benet. I'm on the board of directors for the chamber, and for this project, I had a lot of questions. I kind of have an engineering background, but one of the things I wanted to bring out is this wouldn't just be a free spinning design. We wouldn't want that. It would have some resistance, because you don't want some kids going up there and just spinning at the top. And then the other thing is that the finish would be kind of a satin stainless steel finish, so that it wouldn't have a clear mirror. It would not have a mirror finish like the Bean does in Chicago, if you're familiar with that. We wouldn't want something like that on a corner where there's traffic, so it would have sort of a satin look. to it. So those are some of the things that we talked about when we met on this. But it would be a magnet for the city, and people would come in and they'd want to have a photo op and a destination, and so it is something. And I think Joe had some ideas on how this would be funded through some kind of COVID funds that may or may not have been available, and I'm not familiar with any of that, but that was one of the things that was discussed as well. Anyway, just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Now can we talk about how we pay for this?
So the idea was, ma'am, that we would pay for this through the ARPA funds, which is, we have $1.2 million. Well, after yesterday, we have just under $1 million since we set aside over $250,000 for miscellaneous concrete. So we would use roughly $90,000.
You set apart $250,000 for what?
Miscellaneous concrete,
Okay.
various small concrete projects throughout the city. And I would ask the council to consider allotting roughly $90,000 for this project.
Out of the COVID relief funds?
Yes,
Whatever
ma'am.
that grant was.
The ARPA funds, American Rescue, America Rescue
Plan.
Plan Act, pardon me. So-
Yeah, that one.
Yes, ARPA.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you very much. Well, thank you for telling us all about it. We're going to discuss it, and there you go. Do we require, we don't need to do anything else here, do we?
Not right
Okay.
now.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us know that you were doing this. It's exciting to hear what's happening in our downtown. Okay, Joan, how about a director report?
Yes. 1 second, please. Just need to get there.
So if we backtrack, did we need a motion to approve our budget?
We did that.
We did that.
But we didn't actually do a motion, or,
We did.
Yes, we did.
we did?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Do you have?
Yeah.
With the consent
still
agenda.
asleep? Sleeping?
The first thing,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
Usually
Oh,
the
with the
rest of us
consent
fall
agenda?
asleep.
Okay, we approved everything.
We could approve it again, though, just
No,
for
that's-
fun,
that's
because we
totally
haven't done
fine.
that for a while. I could see
Somebody
why.
could just shake me awake over here.
Okay, well, Grand River Brewery and Downtown Charlie's still awaiting MLCC approval for their licenses. They're in the last stages, so hopefully that'll be soon. We have some exciting news that 38 South Main, the former Lucky Duck, has been leased to the owners of O'Connor's Public House, which is a very popular Irish pub in Rochester. So they will have another location here, which fills in a nice gap, something that we don't have in our dining. So 14 East 14 Mile, the former Avery Hassler Insurance, we had never mentioned that does have a new owner, and renovations for the building are being planned. Commercial projects that continue, the same ones continue in and around the downtown. I think it's nice to note that the Clausen Manor, the senior high-rise, their exterior cladding, they are planning to have it completed late summer, early fall. So it will be all that nice blue, very pretty building. Main Street update, there is a grant opportunity available to businesses in accredited Main Street downtowns through a partnership with Main Street, Oakland County, and Genesis Credit Union. I'll be sending that out to all the businesses. It's a very, very easy application process. Grant follow-ups, the East 14 Mile Hawk signal remains on schedule with installation to be this summer. It's not going to be a very obstructive construction project, since it's really just changing out the arms that are there. The rapid flashing beacon is there, and it's going to be changed to the Hawk signal arms that are like the ones at Washington. So it's changing the equipment. The wiring is already there, so just putting up the new. It won't be like closing the road for, a long period of time. An update on the Oakland County Sustainability Grant. The city has a sustainability committee, and again, I'll mention that Nick Stepnitz was helpful in getting this grant for the pedestrian islands. The committee did question some of the plants that were suggested. We did get a list of plants that they were going to put on the islands. The committee members noticed that some of those were for wetlands. So I did speak with the landscape designer and explained the site a little bit better. She didn't know that there would be no water runoff from the road coming into the islands, that it wasn't like a rain garden. So they made some changes to the plants. She said they'll be purchasing plants, but those greenhouses for the sustainable plants don't open until June. So as soon as they have what they can get, they will install those sometime in June. Oakland County, meanwhile, will come and do the prep work on the islands in the next few weeks. This week, we plan to have notice on the Main Street Oakland County Flagstar Bank grant. The two Flagstar Bank coordinated with Main Street Oakland County for a grant for Main Street communities, and we submitted for planters and banners. If awarded, the expense that we approved last month for new banners will suffice as the matching funds for the $2,500 grant award. Again, I hope we hear this week, and if we do get the grant, then we will be able to purchase, part of the grant that we asked for was planters. The new downtown branded trash containers have been delivered to DPW, and when they're ready, we'll walk to mark the locations. They weren't able to do it this week. The new banners that we approved should be here also next week. Sunnyside Landscaping completed the cleanup of the planting beds and replaced the plants that were missing or not healthy, and did repairs as needed. That's it. Did you do the alley update?
Yes.
Okay, so hopefully.
No, we did not do alley update.
Oh,
We did
okay.
budget update.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about Don Clausen.
All right. So this weekend we have the Spring Open Air Fair, which is the opening of our social district. Talking to Joan, we have about 15 vendors that'll be stationed throughout the downtown area, and as well as 6 food trucks / vendor trucks around to kind of generate walking traffic, so people will utilize the social district, hopefully get cocktails at some of our local restaurants, and then kind of pop around to the food trucks and the vendors and kind of enjoy that. So everything's on track for that, so really excited to see how that all pans out. Going to be going on Fox 2 News on Saturday morning before the event to talk about this event and then the other events that we have coming up throughout the summer. So Clausen Fest, Cinema in the Streets, and then the car show as well. So kind of pushing that out for the city. I think that'll be a really good thing to kind of generate at least some attention for our city for the upcoming summer and all the great events that we have. That's all.
Thank you, Charlie, for doing so much work on these projects.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job.
Appreciate it.
Ally,
We met about the alley this past week. Have to do a slight modification to the sculpture, but that's in process. I think it's being moved over to the fabricator today.
Hopefully, if we get a truck,
Yeah,
then we will
so
move it.
that's going on. That's really the main thing, I think. Everything else is kind of just status quo.
Well, there are new tables and chairs
Oh, yeah.
in the
I did
alley.
purchase new chairs because the old ones were falling over in the wind. There's still some of the old ones out there, but feedback has been really good. These ones are easier to clean and maintain. And I don't know, is there anything else we covered?
Well, 2 of the old tables are out. The two yellows are out, which allows for kids to sit at, and also low tables for somebody that may be in a wheelchair. So we still do have a couple of those out. and we will use the other ones in other location to be determined yet.
Were those the original tables and chairs
Yeah,
that
the
we
small
got?
bistro sets.
They're
Yeah.
too lightweight? Is that
They're
what
pretty
you're saying?
lightweight, yeah.
Well, they were never, it really is not what we should have purchased, but it's what we decided to purchase at the last minute. We bought really cheap.
Ah,
So-
you'll get what you pay for kind of thing.
I mean,
I
the
think
people
all,
like them.
the all black looks terrific in there,
Yeah. it
but
does,
there
I
is a
saw it.
concern about ADA and children having only
Sure.
bar height tables.
Yep.
Aside from that, it's fabulous.
It's a trial run. So far, feedback has been good. I mean, your kids sat in it.
Yeah.
I think they're all right, but
Yeah.
we can do whatever we need to.
Yeah, they look good. And the bistro sets Farmington has had those for, this year it'll be 4 years now, and haven't had a problem, but it all
So I don't
depends on
know-
where they're located and how much.
That
wind.
alley is very windy.
Yeah,
All of it downtown is kind of windy.
all of it is, yeah.
But that's a good thing. It means we're growing.
The nice thing about the artwork, we did meet to discuss adjustments that are going to be made to it. The nice thing is we're going to get 2 pieces of art out of it now. I need to make adjustments because there are building changes that are going to be done to the building where the art is installed. But 2 instead of 1 is a good thing.
Okay. Landscaping and streetscape, have we covered that?
I think pretty much, yeah,
I think so
in
too.
the report.
All right, now we can have consideration of the 23-24 budget, since we have put the last budget to sleep happily. Did you all have a chance to look at it?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. Does someone want to make a proposal to approve the new budget?
I would make a motion to approve the new
Excellent.
budget.
Is there a second?
I would second.
All in favor of approving our budget?
Aye.
And how much fun is that to say? And then we want to have a consideration of approving all of the financial reports of January, February, March, and April, now that those have been straightened out, which I think is what Valerie was asking for earlier.
Oh, no, I was asking for the 23-24 budget, but we are here now.
Anyway, could we have a motion to approve those 4 months' budget?
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, no more budget discussion for a while. Anything else, anyone on the board? Anybody in the public, since we have such a lovely audience today?
It feels so dynamic this morning.
I know, thank you, it's really fun having you all here.
Yeah.
In that case, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Well, I would do that.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Can we keep these?
And I'm sure if anybody has